Welcome back, Step Clubbers. I'm Amanda,
I'm Jennifer.
and today we're talking about Hamilton.
Alexander Hamilton.
What's your name, man? Alexander Hamilton. My name is Alexander Hamilton.
So I had to.
Okay, this has been a craze since it came out, and now that it's on Disney Plus, it's gotten even bigger.
Yes, it definitely has. It's been blowing up everywhere, including TikTok, where makeup artists are making themselves look like the characters, painting themselves, doing all this different stuff.
There's a TikTok account for the cast of Hamilton.
Yeah, I found that the other night.
It's so funny. Initially, you and I both had a little bit of a hard time watching this production on Disney Plus. Hard as in the sense it was hard to follow the first time around.
I'm not gonna lie, I was so stressed out. And here's a little bit of background information why. I purposely did not do research about the musical. I did not really have exposure to anything with it. I did not know what to expect. Years ago, I want to say I might have watched something talking about, how it took them 6 years to make it, that type of a thing. But I feel like even that little snippet of something I saw didn't prepare me at all for what was going to happen. Not being prepared with the history was a huge thing. So when I was watching it, I was super stressed out because I didn't know it was going to be like that.
I got lucky. My dad's a history buff, so he'll go on and on and on and on about certain things. Now, I knew some of the general history. I didn't know a lot of the stuff about Alexander Hamilton specifically. And one thing to remember is that the movie's not 100% accurate. There was some dramatic license taken, to make it more entertaining. A lot of the historical aspects are true, like the years that things took place, and like his roles in the government were correct. But a lot of the stuff in there is a lot for drama. But I feel like we had 6 different stories in one musical.
Oh my God.
It was a little hard to follow in that sense. I wish we had a little bit more dialogue in between songs. Music was good.
Wish there was dialogue. I wish there was dialogue, period. And that's the thing that I was not prepared for at all. I've never seen a musical in my life where it's constant singing, song after song. So after the very first song, I was like, okay, we didn't turn subtitles on until the middle of the songs. I don't know what the hell just happened at the beginning of that. And then it was another song. I'm like, wait, huh? I didn't know. And that's what I mean. Like, I wasn't prepared for that. I wasn't prepared to have song after song. In the first 20 minutes, I'm sitting there because I watched it with my grandparents. And I'm like, okay, I feel really awkward right now. If I was watching this at home by myself, would I be shutting this thing off? Like, I was just very kind of almost like, not mad, but so overwhelmed. I'm like, do I even want to be watching this? Like, it was way too much. And I couldn't understand anything that was going on. Nothing.
Not used to rap or R&B, it is definitely hard to follow if you're not used to it.
Yeah, I'm not used to that stuff at all. And for me too, when someone talks really fast, even give me instructions or different things, my brain cannot decipher it that fast. So even when we put the captions on the screen, because I got told that ahead of time from a YouTuber I watched, Tim Tracker. They said, we put the subtitles on, we highly recommend it. That's one of the reasons how we were able to get through it. I was having a hard time even catching up with that and different stuff at first. It was a disaster.
I tend to read fast, so I like having subtitles on anyway because I also like to snack during movies. So I can't always hear the words while I'm crunching. So I usually try to have subtitles on anyway.
Mm-hmm. But I'm trying to remember at what point that I got comfortable. The very first act, I constantly kept thinking to myself, when is it intermission? Not like to say like I hated it, but I was confused as hell. My grandma kept having to explain things to me like history stuff. I didn't even know that was George Washington. That's how bad I couldn't follow along. And my grandpa was like, who's that? And I'm like, I don't know. My grandma's like, that's George Washington. I'm like, no. Like, that's not George Washington. And my grandpa was like, well, they could have at least put a wig on him.
Like, there is a reason why they didn't put, wigs on anybody except for King George III.
Mm-hmm.
He was more comic relief. I loved it. Loved it. Yeah, overall, I found the music enjoyable. Just the pace was so fast. It was just a lot to take in at once.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Act 2 was so much better.
I agree.
I was able to understand everything. We took like a little break, maybe like a 20-minute or a half-hour break, and then we watched Act 2. I was able to understand almost the entire thing, and it was such a more relaxing experience than the first half. The first half, I did like some of the music and whatnot. I watched it a second time last night, and I got a whole different experience out of it where I actually got to enjoy it.
That's
so
good.
Watching it the second time, I was able to understand it a lot. There's still, of course, stuff I still don't understand and get, but I understood it so much better. I enjoyed it more because it was this curiosity that I had by looking stuff up too. I'm like, I just need to watch it again even before doing this, and it was a lot better of experience. I was able to understand the words better. And yeah.
A little bit about Hamilton itself, the musical. This was inspired by a book that was written in 2004, a biography titled Alexander Hamilton, that was written by Ron Chernow. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. The creator of Hamilton, Lin Manuel Miranda, was reading that book and got inspired to make a musical on it. And in case you don't know who he is, Lin Manuel Miranda played Hamilton himself in the musical. Mm-hmm. And it would make sense if you write something, you kind of want to be the star of it. I get that. And I think he had a great voice and a great acting. He did great singing and acting. It was enjoyable. So the Hamilton first premiered off-Broadway, and that was in February 2015, but then debuted it on Broadway in August of 2015. So only a few months. I thought was pretty cool. And then at the 2016 Tony Awards, they were nominated for 16 awards and they won 11.
Yeah, when I saw something last night where it was showing how many awards it won, I was like, whoa.
That was just amazing. This actually wasn't his first musical that he made.
Oh, really?
Yeah. In 2008, he wrote the music and lyrics for In the Heights.
Oh, I feel like I've heard that title before, but I don't know what it's about.
I'm not 100% sure either, though I do know it's currently being made into a film that's scheduled to premiere next year in June.
Oh.
Lin-Manuel is also an official collaborator for the Walt Disney Company.
Yeah.
So, which is part of why this is probably, the first Broadway hit to be on Disney Plus, because the creator already works with Disney. He contributed, he created some music for 2 Star Wars movies, The Force Awakens and The Rise of the Skywalker.
Oh, really?
Just for a couple scenes, but he still made some music for it. But he also wrote the music and song in Moana of How Far I'll Go, the princess's main song.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool.
Did he write Welcome? You're Welcome?
No.
I think I've seen him sing it, though, I believe. I might be wrong.
We'll have to double check and fact check that. Yes. Then he's even played a role in a Disney movie. He was in Mary Poppins Returns.
I remember that.
Yeah, he was Jack. He was, the Bert's apprentice.
Yeah, I forgot about that. He was so good in that.
So it's like this isn't, his first shebang, being on stage or being in front of a camera or anything. He's well rounded. So he composed. He made the lyrics. I'm sure he had a say in the costume design, of course. Usually, producers do. Creators do.
Probably.
And then he intentionally had the cast be diverse. If you notice, being the founding fathers, it wasn't just old white men. That was because he wanted to portray America's past with America now. Was the thought behind it, which I thought was really cool. I've heard people say, well, the founders weren't black, or founders weren't colored. Well, that was America then. This is America now. I thought was really, really cool.
I was having trouble following along with the lyrics. That's when my grandma had to tell me, historically, well, that's this person, that's that, and my grandpa was confused too, but he kept falling asleep, so that's a different thing. And we had the TV pretty loud, so I'm kind of, that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, when I watch stuff with my grandma, we have to have the TV at full max, even when she has her hearing aids in. Hello, Grandma. There was a lot of stuff I learned, actually, from the Broadway production. I didn't know Hamilton was an immigrant from the Caribbean. That's actually one of the true things that was in the, in the movie. He was born on the island of Nevis in the Caribbean, in Africa. So I thought that was really cool. They do speak about immigration a lot. They bring it up in little points during the musical, because there's a little bit of a political statement at some part. So, which is meant to be in there. I did enjoy they called it cabinet rap battle, where they were dissing each other. I found that really enjoyable too.
And there was a drop the mic section. Well, they didn't drop it to the actual stage floor. Someone caught it, but that was because
mics are expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, that was funny, and there was such flair on the character. There was sass coming out, man. The way they would I want to say when they were talking about the ladies, and that they were just the way they were just walking across the stage like that, and when Thomas Jefferson, he had some real oh god, he had Cardi B flair kind of going. I don't know, there was something about it, the way how he was I don't know, there was something coming out that it was just he really created his own character as Thomas Jefferson. Yes,
he made it it was refreshing, because you see, we've seen movies about the historic, founding fathers, and a lot of them are just bland and boring and blah 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 blah. Portrayed the same way, they all look the same, and this gave a breath of fresh air, new light to them.
Have you seen a founding father rap or a breakdance?
Oh my god.
Or be seduced.
Yeah. That scandal really happened.
That was a good song. Yeah, there was music that I appreciated so much more the second time around. And the things that he does, yes, I picked some things up the very first time. And this is one of them. He will go and write these songs, and there will be words that he writes in these songs that shows up in other songs. So Eliza talks about she's putting herself into the narrative. Yeah. Then there's a whole thing where she's singing the Burn song, where then she's taking herself out of the narrative. Mm-hmm. And they will also sing like a lyric, but it has the rhythm to a previous song that was they already sang it. And I thought that creative process, that's what really clicked with me that second time around. Mm-hmm. And it's just the way how the words are so interconnected. It was just so like placed a certain way. I didn't realize this the first time around, but anytime there was a gun duel, it was that the counting song. And there was these different things going. I don't know. If you were confused the first time, it is so worth it to watch it the second time through to be able to pick these things up. As a theater lover, as a person who's been involved in theater, in musicals, I love them. So I got kind of upset at myself that I felt that way. I do still not, to a certain extent, understand the full hype of it all, personally, because there's little things I'm nitpicking at, like there was different stuff with the set, or there was different stuff about, well, if you're a very first time live theater goer and you pay so much money for these seats, what if you were like me and you couldn't understand it? Like, I don't know if I would want to pay a couple $100 or $1,000 for a seat and then not be able to understand the lyrics without having subtitles. So there's different stuff like that I don't get the hype. There's different things with the set. I'm a huge set person. There's cool. The turntable was amazing.
Awesome. I love that.
Yes, when they went back in time, like when they did the Rewind song.
Yes.
I also understood it so much better the second time I watched that.
See, the only reason why I know like that song in particular is because we did with our dance group where we acted it out. And the girl who's obsessed with Hamilton in our group, like, explained it to us. I know about that, I was able to understand that song a little bit, really well, because it had already been explained to me, because I had already heard it and acted it out.
I gotcha. Yeah. The Rewind song, the first time around for me, I got what was going on. Actually, I explained my grandma that, but I didn't fully get it until I watched a little bit of an explanation online, but watching it through, I didn't realize that they replayed what just happened in the song where she got married.
Yeah.
Not Eliza.
Angelica?
Angelica. When Angelica introduces Hamilton to Eliza, I didn't even pick up the first time I watched that they replaced that whole moment in that song.
Yeah.
But that turntable, I do want to touch upon that, because I did a little bit research on the set. So the turntable is used to represent the whirlwind of history that sweeps up Hamilton.
Okay.
Yes. So I thought there's
so
meanings behind it. Yeah. It's also to represent the hurricane that hit Hamilton's hometown when he was little and destroyed it.
I heard, yeah.
So there's that part. It will show, like, when something's in Rewind, like there's a meaning when it goes clockwise and there's a meaning when it goes counterclockwise, and I didn't write that down, but they explained it. I want to say possibly when you're going clockwise, things are on track in life, possibly, and when things are counterclockwise, there is some type of something going on that's going to maybe break Hamilton's pathway. There was something to do with that there's a meaning behind which way they turn. The other one is that it represents that Aaron Burr and Hamilton were constantly spiraling around each other their entire careers and life. Constantly, it was like this, back and forth type of thing, and, the whole drama that went on with their relationship. The turntable was so cool. my grandma kept saying, well, if I was on that set, I'd break my neck. Because I'm like, well, Grandma, they're going to practice in rehearsal.
Yeah.
The way it's been, because some of it, one's turning one way and one's turning the opposite way. Sometimes one is staying still and one's not. So there's other things going on. But that was the part I loved about the set.
Mm-hmm. That was very unique.
Yes. The other parts of the set fell flat for me. I'm a person who has experience. I've built sets before, painted sets, been in musicals with sets, helped assist people do that stuff. So that is always my go-to thing in theater, is to examine the sets. And I just feel like within recent years, it's happened too with concerts, everything is becoming more minimalistic. Even when you think of a concert, they're not having all these stage pieces come out like they did years ago. It's just their screen in the background, and the screen becomes their set. With musicals now, I feel like they're just trying to have one thing in the background that stays there the whole time, and there's not many pieces that come in and out anymore. I feel like with some of the classic musicals and different stuff, even stuff I've experienced, they used to have more set pieces to also help set the mood, help set your environment. And that's another reason why I was so confused with Hamilton, because they kept changing the light settings, but then it's kind of like, well, okay, are we in Hamilton's place, or are we in a courtroom, or are we, somewhere outside? There was this notion that really had me confused, but there was a reason why they did it that way. So they said, this is the people who built the scaffolding upon which the country was built. You see period scaffolding and half-made walls, a feel of a colonial era building under construction.
Okay.
So because the country is being built, that was slowly being built. And during intermission, which I didn't honestly see this at all, the wall becomes 8 feet taller in the background, the brick walls, to represent the continuing work being done on the country and how the foundation is growing. So there was a lot of very specific details with that set that me as a person with theater, I do appreciate it a little bit more reading that there was, thought that went into that. I just personally, I'm a set person. I wanted to see more things rolling in and out.
It was a little hard to tell where they were, what the setting was from time to time.
Yeah.
But it is really cool to hear the story, purpose behind it. A lot of thought went into pretty much every detail. And
yes,
I kind of like that. If you notice the background characters, at the beginning they had I guess you would call them the chorus. They were all dressed the same, the guys and the girls. So they could interchange coats and fit into different backgrounds. They didn't have to do as many changes.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool. And then the Schuyler sisters, actually, their dresses changed by taking off different layers.
Yes, or adding a different piece on.
Right, like Eliza.
Like when Eliza was pregnant.
Yeah. There was so much into this that, honestly, I can kind of see the hype about it, because it's not something you typically see on Broadway. You don't usually see such diversity or this style of music. You don't see R&B in musicals. You don't see rap in musicals, rap battles.
Right.
So it helps give new audience to Broadway. And I remember hearing, I believe it was Lin Manuel who said that, he was happy that this was coming to a streaming service because Broadway, art like this should not be just for the rich. to be able to enjoy. Anyone should be able to enjoy it, and not everyone can go to the theater.
Yeah.
Especially now, while we're still in this pandemic. It's really nice to be able to enjoy some of that. There's been other streaming services who have streamed some live performances that they had previously recorded. Hamilton is on a major streaming network, on Disney Plus. So that was really cool. I think this whole thing is really cool.
The only one other thing that I do want to add is that it was actually filmed over 3 different performances.
Really? I can't tell. That's awesome.
Yeah, so there was a live audience, so they definitely did in front of a live audience. There was another time where there was no audience, and I think that's when they were able to get the sweeping camera angles and different stuff. I don't know if the third night was in front of a live audience again, or if it was more camera angles. Don't know. It was filmed in 2016 in June. I want to say it was like June 26th through the 28th. So it was at the very end of the month when they did this.
That's really cool because you could tell, or you wouldn't be able to tell that it was 3 different performances just by looking at it, because they were.
I didn't know that either. Yeah.
It was so consistent.
Right.
Nothing seemed out. If you hadn't seen Hamilton before, you would never know. And I'm sure those who have seen Hamilton on stage before probably didn't notice things out of sync or anything.
No, probably not.
I think the King George parts are hilarious. I took a Snapchat video with the big mouth filter, and I couldn't help it. I couldn't help it. It's too funny. But there's a lot of TikTok sounds I didn't know came from Hamilton.
Yeah.
So I'm on TikTok every day, just scrolling through. I can spend like 2 hours scrolling and not even notice. And it was really cool to be like, oh, I recognize that. From where?
Yeah.
TikTok.
Yeah. So yeah, it's becoming everywhere now.
Yes. All right, so Clubbers, I hope you enjoyed Hamilton if you were able to watch it as much as we were. If not, hopefully a friend of yours has Disney Plus that you could borrow, or if you get the chance, see it. It's a great piece of work, especially if R&B and rap is your thing. Even if not, it's just a nice different perspective. So overall, A+, enjoyed. All right, Sub Clubbers, we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.